Welcome. This is Brandon from Galaxy Doc Market. This is our week look ahead video for our community members. And for those of you joining us from X.com and YouTube, you guys are getting this a little bit after our members. The title is Trading Silver Breakout. And today, by the way, is November 29th, 2025. It's about 9:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as I make this video. And we have a lot of things to talk about. As the title suggests, once again, trading silver breakout, and there was a lot of activity, which is unusual during a Thanksgiving shortened holiday trading week. But we got it in droves, and we're going to be talking about obviously silver, some cryptos, how that relates to S&P 500 and NASDAQ, and we'll do that and go over some charts of some stocks and to prepare us for the coming week. There's a lot that's going on, and it's very important that we understand what's going on. As you can see in the background, this is the circuit breaker that blows up. That is in reference to CME shutting down all futures trading. And I made some commentary, and I found out as soon as it happened, and I posted on X while it was happening and into our community site. But this is important, and we'll give that a little more attention and why you should care that CME shut down all markets on the futures trading. All right, here's the disclaimer. If you're not part of the Galaxy Doc Market community, you must agree to this disclaimer. If you agree, please move forward. And of course, thank you for all of you for following us at X.com, including all of our content. As it happens, I try to post them not only in our community, but on X.com. And please follow us on YouTube. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the comments. Okay. All right, so this is what I posted as it happened on November 27th. I said they shut down the entire futures market ahead of quote-unquote Black Friday as silver began to start its parabolic move above 54.55. And as we will talk about soon, this 54.55 was the breakout level. If it closed the day above 54.55, this parabolic move I've been talking about for the past, 3 months is finally here. Now, they shut down the whole market. It never happened before. It was usually just, lock stop limits and, ESs and NQs and maybe some commodities. But to my knowledge, it has never happened that CME just shut the entire market down overnight. Okay. And we'll tell you the mechanics of what I think happened there. But this is a serious one. And of course, they blamed a cooling issue at Cyrus 1 data center, which was kind of funny because it seems like CME was the only client that was affected by the cooling issues. And so we'll delve more into that also. I said this is going to get very interesting really fast. And here's their basically saying that Cyrus 1 data center cooling issues, and so they can't provide data. But there's more than meets the eye underneath the surface. So this was exactly the area at which they shut down trading, blaming it on Cyrus 1 cooling issues at their data center. Okay, but the issue was that more poignantly, that 54.55 was the previous all-time high, and once we finish above there, we would get this parabolic move. What I think happened was CME, COMEX, and all the Silver Slam crew, so they panicked. And I think what's happened is that they pulled the circuit breaker, and now you can see why I put that blowing up circuit breaker on our covered art. And so basically what that did was to buy them time overnight to position themselves. These guys, obviously JP Morgan Chase and all the other banks, they're always into naked shorting and manipulating the markets. And they had to panic and stop this move because I believe if they didn't pull that circuit breaker and blame it on Cyrus 1, it's like akin to, oh, the dog ate my homework, so I couldn't do my homework without any real concrete proof. So regardless of what happened was that I believe if they didn't do that, the silver price would have exploded past 60. You see on the futures market, we finished at 57,245. And of course, right after the market closed, I mean, we blipped down a little bit to 57.085. Without that circuit breaker, I believe we would be in mid 60s. And that was the problem, is because it would have created a massive short squeeze had they not done that. It's not going to help, but this is exactly what happened. But there's something more than meets the eye underneath the surface of why they pulled the circuit breaker, because silver and gold breaking out is not generally a good sign for the overall economy and for the banking system. And you know what I think about the banks, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Right at the moment that they shut it down, it was also, I think, because more than the fact that Silver Slam Crew was, panicking, it was because the banks are insolvent. There was a liquidity issue, and Butcher of Wall Street, thank you for posting this, said it better than I could and gave all the data that I was looking at. So I'm just using this to illustrate my point, is that it's not just that the CME got margin called by DTCC or NSCC. It was because of this right here, because while they were doing that, I think there was a massive liquidity crisis in the banks. I told you the banks are insolvent, okay? Bank collapse was imminent if they did not do that, and that gave time for the Fed to open up the repo facility, which is what the banks tap when they have no money, right? When there is no lending, there is no circulation of money, or flat out, the banks basically would have ceased operations if basically the Fed did not provide this. Now, where are they getting this 24.4 billion in liquidity? It's printed money. They're printing money as they're saying that they're trying to control inflation, okay? So what they did was that trading resumed after the banks got reinflated. And I think that's a bigger picture of what occurred, not so much so that the Silver Slam Crew were panicking, and they were, okay? And there's more to come on that. It was because the bank collapse was imminent. Okay, and that's why they blamed the Cyrus One. Oh, the dog ate my homework, and just live with it. They think we're literally stupid. Okay, and so that's, I think, what's been happening. Now, this is momentum structural analysis posted, something that I was thinking about, but they have more concrete data on its technical specifications. You can basically pause it or go and look at his post. Okay. There are redundancy upon redundancy. And funny how it is that at Cyrus One data center, it seems to me that CME was the only client that was affected. But more importantly, this dog ate my homework narrative does not fly. Okay, desperate slam crew think, and the banks think we're stupid. Okay, their cooling system is designed to operate right here under simultaneous system failures. There are redundancy upon redundancy, and this cooling issue is not likely. More likely is that the banks basically hit a liquidity crisis, and I think that's going to be happening more and more as we speak here. And I'm always a proponent about talking about the new monetary system that is coming, backed by cryptos, stablecoin, and that's exactly what Trump administration is doing at this point. But they think we are stupid, and we are not. So I just want to jump right into looking at some charts. And what better way to start than looking at some silver charts, right? My favorite here. And so we had a silver breakout, folks. Okay. And so previous weeks, what we've had is a situation where, it's been chopping around right under here. It could not break out. This is a bona fide breakout. I do not think that had they not pulled that silver circuit breaker, it could have been much, much worse. But I do not believe that's going to curtail this rise. I don't think the Silver Slam Crew at this point are going to be able to stem this rise. Okay, and this is a sign and symptom. Silver breaking out finally is a sign and symptom of significant stress somewhere. Something is broken, whether it's in the debt market, whether it's the banks, which I believe it is, whether it's some hedge funds that's levered into some crazy stuff. stuff. JP Morgan Chase is implicated in, whole lot of money laundering schemes with, your favorite person that starts with an E. But not only that, but they are implicated in South Korea for, naked shorting. And, they've been doing that. And of course, Jamie Dimon, I didn't put it here, came out, I think a few days ago, stating that people that are shorting banks are evil, yet, he's engaged in shorting silver, naked shorting silver, naked shorting MicroStrategy, naked shorting a whole slew of things, basically. And it's not okay for people to short banks. Interesting thought, right? People in glass houses should not cast stones, okay? So I said previous week that it was building energy to move higher. The breakout zone was 48.145. Well, we're at, 57.185. I said chopping ahead of options expiration on 11/24/2025, and that was on Monday. And I think that's exactly what happened. It just happened to coincide with a very thinly traded Thanksgiving holiday week, and this is the result we got. This is the true picture of what should be coming, and this is just the beginning, folks. Now, what I want to kind of illustrate to you is that we could not break above here, and this is exactly about the level at which they pulled the circuit breaker, but this is where we are. This is a bona fide breakout, and if you don't understand, this is just a handle part of a 45-year-old cup and a handle pattern. And so even though it looks like a cup, there's a bigger cup, a larger 45-year cup that we just broke out. Here's the thing. On the SI futures are now leading the spot market, because futures closed right around 57.245. Okay, so obviously this is at 46.5. This is right here at 47. That is telling you there are bigger moves coming. Futures are supposed to look ahead to the future. Spot is actual physical demand market. Okay, there are more explosive moves coming. Okay, so let's look at some of these more of the silver charts, shall we? So I'm going to be zooming in here really quickly about the silver cup part. Okay, 47.95 was the all-time high. This was the breakout level, and we convincingly broke out. I think we're moving much, much higher. It basically started doing higher lows, finding support, and then now this was that phase 1 level. This is phase 1, and now we're breaking out into phase 2. Okay, and then phase 3 is going to be vertical, and phase 4 is going to be the climax run. We're not there yet. Silver has just begun to break out. Okay, so this is the monthly chart, and then as we get into the weekly, you can see a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, it topped here right about here, and then now it's going to break. Oh my goodness gracious, as it was breaking this 80 MA, people are saying, look, 5 SMA is curling over and it's going to move lower, and everybody thought it was going to go all the way down to the 37.52 level. And I said, look, this is just a technical pullback. Okay, we're going to find support at 80 MA, and we just need to break above this level, right? And then secondarily, and we blew past that. Okay, now we have a situation where we have positive divergences. Okay, and it's going to the moon at this point. Okay, that doesn't mean it's not going to pull back. I'm sure Silver Slam Crew has something special planned for us, but it's definitely not going to be a situation where they're going to be able to freely slam these prices down anymore. Looking at gold is lagging silver, folks. Okay, gold is lagging silver. It still needs to get above these two levels. And what does that tell you? In the end, silver will lead all precious metals and the market in terms of the move. The parabolic move has began. Okay, folks? So this is gold. Okay, but silver is much more exciting, so that's what we're talking about that. Now, how does that relate to the stock market? All right, so these gaps, on the surface, everybody's saying, oh, it looks so bullish. I mean, look at the RSI, it's moving higher. Well, I mean, the RSI still has a negative divergence, right? These gaps are caused by illiquidity during the holiday shortened Thanksgiving week, and basically these are retail driving these I call the retail bull turds driving this, and everybody thinks that we're going to go much, much higher. Is it possible to shoot up to here and then fail? Yes, and they're going to sell the top here. They're going to be selling the top, and look at all these gaps that it has to get to. And there's a major gap down here, and this is likely the target on the SPY that we're looking at. Okay. The second thing that we're talking about on the weekly is that, yeah, on the surface again, it looks bullish, but look at the volume. The volume is absolutely one of the lowest volumes in the past like 6 months. Okay, and that low volume rally is a sucker's rally. And basically, can it get up to the top end of the Bollinger Band? It can, or it could absolutely fail right up at that tail candle right here, and we're going to come back down. And I believe that there is a strong probability when the big boys are back, they're going to be selling, and the retail is going to become the bag holders. Okay, here's QQQ. QQQ is forming a nice head and shoulders. Okay, I think it's finishing that up. Can it get up into this trend line? Possibly. Or it fails right here at the pivot. Okay, we're slightly above there. That may be a fake out. Look at this declining volume. Okay, if you don't understand how price and volume moves, you need to find out quickly. Yes, there is on this chart, there is a MACD divergence. Okay, and I think this is going to be short-lived. I think we're going to blip and then come right back down. All right, so that's our QQQ on the daily, but the weekly paints a different picture. There's divergences on the longer terms, charts everywhere, and basically, even though we're right at this downtrend line, okay, we have divergences galore everywhere, including the all-important PPO ADX crush indicator, which is basically showing a significant bearish divergence. And not only that, we are below this trend line. We're going to try to move up to there, and then we're going to fail. Okay, I believe that silver is warning about a significant market correction that is coming any day now. Okay, and if everybody thinks that the market's bottomed and you're buying hand over fist and buying this dip, you're going to be quite surprised. I think we're going to have quite a bit of sell-off coming into the year end until probably, I don't know, early February. Okay, maybe we get a rally, and then for a few months, and then sell off. Okay, more on that later. NVIDIA, real quick. NVIDIA is basically forming this. Here's the right shoulder. Here's the head. It's working on that so that we could possibly and then start failing down, possibly as early as next week. All right, NVIDIA's bubble, AI bubble, and their questionable accounting gimmicks, okay, essentially channel stuffing. You know, they're booking future earnings, but the revenues aren't showing that explosive growth in sales that they're talking about. Okay, so here's JP Morgan Chase, my favorite, right? I think JP Morgan Chase, I had thought that maybe this would be the shoulder, but it looks like we're making a double top. Okay, maybe now this becomes the head. Here's the left shoulder. Maybe this makes the right shoulder. JP Morgan's in trouble, folks. Okay, just realistically, you know, MACD is negative. Divergence is galore. Okay, our commodity channel index is negatively divergent. Stochastics negatively divergent. And more importantly, my PPO ADX is forming a bearish formation, and it's near the top. Okay, well, what's not to like? So I think I'm going to stop there for this. So where are we on the grand scheme of this 2008 to 2009 analog? I said a few weeks ago that a week and a half ago, that we topped here and that we would get a little bit of a bounce, and we did, and then we just resumed selling. This is probably where we are right now. This is the Thanksgiving holiday, and I think starting next week, we're going to start selling off, okay, for the next day, you know, selling off, have a nice little sell-off, probably get a little relief rally into Christmas, and then just sell off completely going into January, okay? So I think that's where we are. We're not here yet, okay, because we just don't have the Fed panicking yet, but they will. They're always they're always stupid. End the Fed, folks. End it. There's no use for them. Okay, no use whatsoever. All right, so let's look at our dollar. Okay, dollar, I said, hey, look, you know, they're coming up into this 100 level, and now we're selling off, just like the arrow suggests. By the way, 10-year yield, TNX is basically forming a inverse head and shoulders. I think the rates are going higher. If you think that the rates are under control, or if you think that Trump is controlling inflation, no, they're not. They just printed $24 billion to prop up banks while shutting down circuit breaker, breaking, and then blaming it on Cyber One cooling system. I mean, you really believe that? No, I don't. Okay, TNX and inverse head and shoulders forming, US dollars weakening, Fed has lost the inflation control narrative. They have no control. Okay, they're not there to help you. All right, cryptos are about to have one more capitulation sell-off and generational buying bottom. Here's what I think is going to happen, folks. I think XRP, this price, you're going to have a generational, for those of you that think you missed the rally, okay, or buying point, sadly, when it gets down to this right here, I know I'm going to probably get a lot of hate for this, but I think we're going to go to like $1.75 to maybe to, I don't know, maybe to $1. Okay. Okay. You have to buy this, but most people will get too scared here and freeze and not buy this at all. So that's coming. Why do I think that? So let me bring this up. Okay, so here's the chart of my XRP. It's a clean chart. Realistically, what we've been dealing with is this situation where we start bottoming here. Oh, I see a tail candle. Oh, I see a tail candle. We're making lower lows, folks. And all it's doing in this situation is the stock, not stock, but crypto, it's moving higher. Okay, from here we moved higher. Here moved here, and then it basically sold off. Okay. And I think, and if you look, it's a very similar pattern, okay? It's just flattening a little bit here. Maybe we just go up a little more, and then we come down. I just think that below this below this $1.75, that all the way down to this $1 is the bottom. Now, why do I keep saying that? It's because if I just zoom out of this chart, okay, because this is the level at which it broke out from, the price movement after Trump got elected. It basically started making this parabolic move. But this level right here is the back test. And we know we had the flash crash right down to here. I just think that they're trying to shake you out. They don't want you in XRP or any of these cryptos, okay? BlackRock and all these other banks want that. Let's look at Litecoin. It's the same thing. I'm really liking Litecoin right now. And, Litecoin is a little bit closer to the bottom. I just don't think Litecoin breaks this level. But if it gets below the 76 level, that's an absolute buy, in my opinion. Okay, you do your own research. Okay. Bitcoin. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. Okay. Here's a phase 1 sell-off, phase 2, phase 3. I just think that we're going to basically backtest this because everybody thinks it bottomed here. And I said, is there a phase 4 coming? You bet they will. And I think we're going to get back into this phase 3 and then start the phase 4 move. I just think that Bitcoin could have one more sell-off, capitulation sell-off, which will be a generational buying opportunity, somewhere between 78 to like 65K. It could go lower. Okay, it's just that most people will not be buying this. All right. Yeah, so that's kind of my crypto analysis. It's going to be lower. Go buy them. All right, so here's the Black Swan. CME Futures circuit breaker hoax is a cover-up to shift blame that they have on other things while they maintain stability and control narrative. And that's gone. Okay, it wasn't just to save silver, although silver, I believe, would not have finished at 57 and change. I think silver on the futures market would have exploded past $60 had they not done this. And I think silver is headed to somewhere between $68 to $82. It could go even higher by January, okay, into the hundreds. Okay, so Fed repo, that means banks are insolvent. There's liquidity crisis. And how funny is that they shut the futures market down to prevent trading? They open up the repo market. Where did Fed get that $24 billion? Okay, I think there's a machine that goes burr, and that's what they did. And then they wonder why we have inflation. Okay, silver is headed to $68 to $82, folks. Okay, so watch gold and silver breakout started on 11/28/25. This is a bona fide breakout. Okay, even if Silver Slam Crew comes in and tries to pull it back, they lost all kinds of control at this point. The more they paper short, because they're under scrutiny, it's just not going to end well for them. Watch for parabolic moves. It's going to start. CME halts all futures markets in panic. This is historical. Okay, usually lock stop limit for 5, 10, 15 minutes, not over 6, 7 hours. All right, so the cryptos are about to give a capitulation bottom soon. Will you be buying that, or are you going to be too scared? And there's going to be a lot of fun, people saying, oh my gosh, cryptos are done, go buy gold and silver, which you should. But cryptos are here to stay, folks. Okay, and for those of you Johnny-come-latelys, let's not be a Johnny-come-lately. Okay, suck it up, in my opinion, and you should be buying this dip that's coming. Is a crash coming on the S&P 500? It looks so bullish, right? What are you talking about? And what I'm talking about is that this was a thinly traded retail bounce that the big boys are going to sell into you. Okay, there are divergences everywhere. Gold and silver breaking out. Is telling you. By the way, cryptos follow the stock market. Bitcoin is ahead of S&P 500. I know there's a lot of you out there that shares my opinion. A lot of people say, "Oh no, cryptos are safe haven asset," and I'm one of those in the camp. But in big moments, S&P 500, stock market, and cryptos trade together. Right now, cryptos are leading, and I think S&P 500, NASDAQ, everybody's going to follow. And I think this week is going to be critical for that. Okay, they're all forming head and shoulders formation, or beginning to finish up the right side of the shoulders. This is a dead cat bounce. Big boys will sell into this. They're panicked right now. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. Follow me at Galaxy.market on X. Comment and share and subscribe at YouTube. And thank you. And let's get some alpha. And oh, by the way, if you want to work with me, Coach, and you have some questions, email me at CoachBrandon@protonmail.com. Also, click in the link description below to join my Essentials entry-level membership group. And we'd love to have you join us. All right, let's get some alpha. It's going to be wild this week. Bye-bye.